throwaway account because my friends and family know my main. My husband Andrew and I are expecting our first child in just a few weeks. It was an unexpected pregnancy, but we're both excited and welcome this new chapter in our lives. We've discussed it prior that he would be present in the room with me as my support person. Some context. He has always been very sweet and caring. It took a little bit of communication and adapting to each other's needs, but he's now very, very supportive and always makes sure my needs are met. I was more than happy with him being in the delivery room with me during what I'd consider one of the scariest times of my life, and wanted him to experience seeing his daughter take her first breath. This was before our conversation last night. My husband and I have been on a bit of a decline in terms of our intimacy life. It used to be good when we first started dating, and I thought we were sexually compatible. However, within the last year, it has done a 180. At first, he blamed it on stress, then finances, then his health, and I believed all of it. I recommended things we could do to improve that, or ways I could help lighten his load, but he assured me he'd work on it himself. It never got better. In fact, it kept declining. We had another talk last night about this, as I told him I was starting to feel like we were friends more than lovers, and that's when he confessed he was no longer attracted to me. It had to do partly with me gaining a bit of weight during the pregnancy, but mostly due to my lifestyle changes. When we first started dating, I had a lot more free time to take care of my body and weight. I was 5'4" and 115 pounds, curvy in all the right places, and would get constant attention from men when I was single. We moved in shortly after dating, and I guess my priorities had changed because now I had to work full-time 9 to 5. Sometimes weekends, picked up a side gig, and also did 90% of the cooking and cleaning at home. I had no time to prioritize the gym or working out, and gained 10 pounds since moving in and 30 pounds since becoming pregnant, which I expect to lose most of after giving birth. Through all the tears last night during our conversation, I told him I would work on prioritizing my health and the gym again, and would make time to take care of my appearance, so he was happy. However, when I mentioned that I didn't want his view of me to change even more, so I think it's best if he wasn't in the room with me as I gave birth, he was extremely upset and disappointed. I told him giving birth wasn't a spectator sport, and I wanted him there initially because I felt supported by him and comfortable with him seeing me at my most vulnerable. Crying, screaming, projectile shitting lol. Now that I know he's no longer attracted to me, I'm willing to work on that. But I don't think him seeing me in that way would help our intimacy relationship at all. Should I suck it up and let him in the delivery room even though I think it would affect how he views me? Edit to add. For those wondering why I work so much if my husband earns as much as he does, my workload is just very heavy that sometimes I will need to work on the weekends to meet deadlines. I'm not choosing to work extra shifts to make ends meet. My side gig is a personal project of mine that, although doesn't bring in much, is fulfilling to me, and I would like to one day grow it into a full-time opportunity. For now, though, I have to put in a few hours here and there, but it does add up. To add again, I want to clarify that the main issue isn't just the numbers on the scale, but the lifestyle change. When we met, I was very active, going to the gym, sports, eating very healthy, etc., and that was a turn-on for him. The issue is now that I don't have much time for those things. He doesn't find me attractive anymore because I live a pretty sedentary lifestyle. I don't have the energy or time to put towards prioritizing my health and wellness like I used to, which led to the weight gain, and it was a bit of a wake-up call for me. I'm making these changes for me and the baby as well, not just for my husband, but seeing all these comments regarding the household divide has me second-guessing what fair contributions to our household look like. I'll be sitting down and speaking with him about redividing our tasks so it's fair to both of us, and we each have time to spend on ourselves. Him being in the delivery room will be dependent on how that conversation goes as well, but I'll be prioritizing my comfort above all during the birth. Thanks for your advice, everyone. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why isn't anyone saying the truth? She gained 10 pounds and then 30 from being pregnant. In my opinion, we are still looking at just 10 pounds and a normal pregnant weight gain. Actually, an impressive pregnancy weight gain if you're near delivery. You don't need to change. He does. Period. Don't let him treat you like you are his trophy for doing 10% around the house and having a job. Give me a break. What does he do for you? How does he change? Where is his honor, his commitment? Wait, does he love you or your body when it is at his exact standards? Trust me, there are plenty, and I do mean plenty, of men that will cherish and worship your slightly out of optimal weight range body. He needs to win you right now, not the other way around. Comment 2. So wait, through tears he gratefully nodded. You fat pregnant slob, you must work 2 jobs, continue to do the majority of the housework, raise a newborn, and get your butt back to the gym. And you gratefully thought, yes, my prince will love me again. If your turd of a husband was aghast that through a difficult job schedule and caretaking his every need, 90% of the household tasks, you failed to remain the same physical shape, then he should have started lifting some of his dead weight around the house. None of this is going to get better for you after your baby is born. I'm sorry, but this sounds like someone with conditional love who wants his bang maid to stay 25 forever. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. So much has happened in the past 3 days, and I need to get this off my chest. After our last conversation, Andrew and I sat down to talk about the household chores and our relationship. I was hoping we could find a balance that would allow us both some me time. But things didn't go as planned. Andrew agreed to take on more chores, but he also dropped another bombshell. He admitted that he had been seeing someone else, someone who, in his words, reminded him of the old me. I was devastated. It felt like a punch to the gut. This woman was a coworker of his, someone I had met at company functions. She was always very friendly to me, and I never suspected a thing. The betrayal cut deep, not just because of the affair, but because she represented the lifestyle I used to have, the one Andrew missed. The confrontation was intense. I asked him how long it had been going on, and he confessed it started just a few months into my pregnancy. He said he felt neglected and missed the excitement. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the man who had promised to be by my side, for better or worse, and here he was, blaming me for his infidelity. I kicked him out that night. I couldn't stand to look at him. The next day I was a mess. I called my best friend who had been with me through thick and thin since high school. She rushed over, and I spilled everything. She was furious on my behalf, reminding me of all the times I had sacrificed for Andrew, like when I gave up a job opportunity because it would mean less time with him. Then she told me something I never knew. Back when Andrew and I were dating, she caught him flirting with another girl at a party. She confronted him, and he begged her not to tell me, claiming it was a one-time mistake. She kept it to herself, thinking it was just a small slip-up. Now, we both realized it was a pattern. The next day, I went to our shared bank account to make sure I'd have funds for the baby's needs. To my shock, a large sum of money was missing. I called the bank, and they told me Andrew had transferred it to another account. I was livid. How could he do this, especially now? I confronted him over the phone, and he had the audacity to say that he needed the money to start fresh. I reminded him of our shared dreams, like the vacation to Europe we had been saving for since we got married. He just brushed it off, saying those were my dreams, not his. I felt like I didn't even know who Andrew was anymore. The man I married, who used to surprise me with breakfast in bed and write me love notes, was gone. In his place was a stranger who cared more about himself than our family. I spent the rest of the day going through our finances, making sure I'd be secure. I found old receipts for gifts I never received, and hotel bookings for days he said he was working late. The lies were unraveling before my eyes. Today, I met with a lawyer to discuss my options. I'm not going to let Andrew walk all over me. I'm going to fight for what's fair for me and my baby. The lawyer was understanding, having seen cases like mine before. She assured me we had a strong case, especially with the financial betrayal. I haven't decided if I'll let Andrew in the delivery room. Right now, I can't even stand the thought of him being there. I need someone who will truly support me, not someone who's already checked out of our marriage. I'm focusing on myself and my baby now. I've started to reach out to old friends I lost touch with because of my busy life with Andrew. They've been incredibly supportive, reminding me of the strong, independent woman I am. My fiance's toxic rage over a chipped tooth revealed true colors. I walked away smiling as their world crumbled. I'm honestly devastated. My fiance and I decided to end our engagement. We were at Red Robin actually having a great day, and I bumped him with my elbow as he was drinking his beer and the glass hit his tooth, and I got yelled at in the restaurant. I honestly didn't mean for him to hurt himself. I just hate how he talks to me crazy all the time with no respect. So I kind of retreated into myself and was quiet. That was a problem too. You always have a problem. You are never in a good mood. He hyperfixated on if I hit my tooth, I would act like XYZ. Continuing to make a scene in this restaurant, told me I don't know myself, on top of a million more things. This issue is the straw that broke the camel's back. The relationship is all about assessing blame, not mutual understanding and respect, and I get blamed for every single thing. Yet, he tells me he walks on eggshells around me, that I need therapy, which I go to, that it's not working, that I don't get along with anyone. Not true. Gaslighting 101. I excused myself to the bathroom for a good little cry and had an epiphany that I'm working on myself, but he has convinced himself that all the fault lies within me, to the point where he has nothing to work on. And if I marry him, it would be a lifetime of this crap. I told him that I don't think this is going to work out, because the mental gymnastics is getting exhausting. The whole time he's had a fail-safe plan. He told me in that conversation that he didn't make a payment to the venue for this exact reason. So all the while I've been attending therapy and a couples counseling session with hopes of getting better, he's already been preparing for it to fail and limiting damage. That's the first time I heard that, and felt it was said in that moment to hurt me even more. Mission accomplished. I feel like I was suffocating, so I calmly got up from the dinner table at the restaurant and just started walking home 4 miles as I cried and began the mourning process. I sent money for my food, and the only message he sent back was that I was $7 short. Again, another jab that he loves to throw. Funny story, I made a detour and walked along a canal. There was a bridge over the canal, not suspended or high, just linking both sides. So I sat down on the bridge and did some more crying. It was kind of awkward because some bikers and joggers were still using the bridge and looking at me, but I didn't care. One jogger went past me and turned around asking if I was okay. I told him I wasn't, but that I would be. He asked if I felt safe, if I was going to hurt myself, if I have someone to call because I shouldn't be alone. What's wrong? I assured him that I wasn't going to hurt myself and that I really appreciate him checking on me. He asked if we could exchange numbers. He said he's gay and not into girls, not hitting on me, so he knows I made it home safe. As he turned to go, he said, "Are you sure you are okay? You look really bad, LMAO." I internally giggled as he jogged off, and whether he knows it or not, the tears ended. I got up and continued my walk home. I didn't get his name, but if you ever read this, thank you so much for telling me how bad I looked sitting on the bridge bawling my eyes out. It helped me snap out of it and to stop feeling sorry for myself. I know I can do this, and although the tears will continue to flow during this process, I desperately hope happiness is on the other side. I do need some advice from you guys. I rented out my condo to move in with my fiance to start our life together and save money for the wedding. That lease doesn't end until October. My parents live in another state and have a 2BR apartment and live with my sister. So there's not enough space for me, and I'm struggling to think of where exactly should I go. I would love to stay in the state that I'm in, but renting my own spot while paying toward my condo rent doesn't cover the whole mortgage, isn't realistic. Or do I just tuck my tail and go back home and share a bed with my sister? Parents know about the called-off engagement. I haven't told anyone else just yet. How should I move forward with my living situation? I honestly think that my fiance doesn't think I'll go anywhere, so he can treat me anyway. That since we live together, I won't have the guts, I guess, to follow through with this. but it's time I start respecting myself and my boundaries. I cannot continue to let this man walk all over me, and although invites have been sent to the wedding, I can't let the embarrassment keep me in a situation that I'm not happy in and where both parties aren't working to get closer. He banks on that. I hope he's wrong. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I have no good advice, but do it. Leave him. You will never be happy. When a couple is having struggles, it is never just one person who needs to work, and from what you write, I am sure he at least needs to take 50% of the responsibility in the relationship, if not more, but he has somehow managed to make you believe it is all you, which is nonsense. Go to your parents, travel, be happy. Comment 2. About halfway through this, I started hearing like a mashup of Bill Pullman's "Today We Celebrate Our Independence Day" and Mel Gibson shouting "Freedom." Good for you, girl. One day, you will tell hilarious stories about this nut job. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support from my last post. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, but I'm back with an update, and boy, it's been a roller coaster. After the whole Red Robin fiasco, things escalated quickly. I thought I was ready to move on, but the universe had other plans. Remember the jogger who checked on me? Well, turns out he's my neighbor's cousin. Small world, right? He must have mentioned seeing me because the next day, my neighbor knocked on my door with a casserole and an offer to let me crash on her couch until I figured things out. I was touched by the gesture, especially since we'd only exchanged the occasional hello before. Now, here's where things get steamy. My ex-fiancé, let's call him Mark, didn't take the breakup well. He started showing up at my temporary new home, begging for another chance. He even tried to charm my neighbor, thinking she'd convince me to talk to him. But she's a tough cookie and told him to take a hike. In the midst of all this, I got a call from the venue. Apparently, Mark had made the payment after all, but he lied to me about it. They were calling to confirm the final details for the wedding that wasn't going to happen. My heart sank. I felt betrayed all over again. It was like he was playing mind games, keeping me on a string while pretending to cut ties. I confronted Mark about it, and he admitted he paid because he thought I'd come crawling back. He said he wanted to show me he was committed, but it was too little too late. I was done being manipulated. But wait, there's more. Remember the lease on my condo? Well, my tenant suddenly decided to move out, breaking the lease. At first, I panicked, thinking about the financial strain. But then I realized it was a blessing in disguise. I could move back into my own place. It was like the universe was giving me a sign. I started packing my things, ready to reclaim my independence. My neighbor was a godsend, helping me move and even offering to lend me some furniture until I got back on my feet. Now here's the jaw-dropping moment. As I was moving out, Mark showed up, and this time he wasn't alone. He brought his mother. She was in tears, begging me to reconsider, saying Mark was a mess without me. It was a scene straight out of a soap opera. I felt for her, I really did, but I couldn't let her sway me. I stood my ground, and that's when Mark dropped a bombshell. He said he'd been seeing a therapist, trying to work on his issues. He claimed he wanted to change, for us, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it was another tactic to reel me back in. I wished him well, and told him I hoped he'd find happiness, but it wouldn't be with me. His mother looked heartbroken, but I knew I had to put myself first. So I'm back in my condo now, and it feels like a fresh start. I've been reconnecting with old friends and even started a new hobby, painting. It's been therapeutic, and my walls are now adorned with my own art. But here's the misunderstanding that I need to explain. When I told my parents about moving back into my condo, they misunderstood and thought I was moving back in with Mark. They were furious, thinking I'd gone back on my decision to leave him. It took a few phone calls and a lot of explaining to clear up the confusion. They were relieved to hear I was standing on my own 2 feet. As for my living situation, I'm making it work. I've tightened my budget and am looking for a new tenant. It's not easy, but I'm determined to make it through this. I haven't heard from Mark since the day I moved out. I hope he's getting the help he needs, but I'm focusing on myself now. It's been a tough few days, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Wife cheats with a customer, and I'm crushed. DNA test reveals the sting of lies, and I'm forced to face a bitter truth. I'll get straight to the point. I, 28-year-old male, discovered that my wife, Kat, 27-year-old female, who I married 2 years ago but have been in a relationship with for 7 years, cheated on me, and that our son Lee, 5 years old, is not biologically mine. I was given the revelation by my mother-in-law. I would otherwise never have known because my wife and I are an interracial couple and our child is biracial. Just turns out the affair partner and biological father is also the same race as me. According to her, my wife confessed to her mother a year ago out of guilt. My mother-in-law wanted my wife to tell me directly, but I guess after failing to do so for a year, she took the initiative to tell me herself. I took a DNA test and have confirmed that my son is in fact not mine. I have confronted Kat, who confessed to everything. The affair partner was a regular customer from her retail job. She claims it was a one-time incident from a moment of weakness, and that she never loved the affair partner, and that she ended things years ago. I looked up the affair partner, who has a public Facebook profile, and the resemblance between him and my son is extremely apparent. My mother-in-law has pleaded with me to stay and try to make things work. I've considered it, but I just don't think I have it in me to continue the relationship. Last week, I consulted a lawyer to initiate divorce. Where I live, it is a no-fault divorce, so Kat's infidelity is pretty irrelevant, but I do have a prenuptial agreement for all my premarital assets. I inherited quite a lot from my grandfather, who passed away when I was 21, so it's mostly just the marriage assets that will be divided. I have also instructed my lawyer to attempt the process of removing my name from my son's birth certificate. Now I am not a monster. I love my son, but looking at him, I now can't get the affair partner's face out of my mind each time I do. I will seek counseling, but there's a good chance this isn't something I can ever get over. I will not completely abandon him, though. I currently plan to set up a trust account for him with a third-party administrator, so I don't have to be personally involved. In my opinion, he's too young to understand, so I've simply told him that his mother and I have fallen out of love, which is partly true because the revelation has ended the life of my love and affection for Kat. That said, I have written a letter which I have given to my mother-in-law to give to him when he's older, which will explain my side of the story. I have always had a good relationship with my mother-in-law and trust her judgment on when that time will be appropriate. Kat, unfortunately, is making this process difficult by telling him that she's still in love with me and wants me to stay, so I likely just look like a dad who is just leaving for no reason. So this is my dilemma. My wife is accusing me of abandoning my son because I refuse to forgive her and stay to try to make the marriage work for his sake. She is unwilling to tell the affair partner about his biological son because in her mind, the affair partner is not the real father, and she does not want him involved in her son's life. My wife has said she's not in love with the affair partner and is calling me immature for not wanting to take an active role in his upbringing anymore. What should I do in regards to my wife Kat and my non-biological son Lee? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I would continue what you're doing, but with one change. I wouldn't trust that letter to your mother-in-law. You never know what could happen. She could pass away, or your soon-to-be ex-wife will find it. Give copies of your letter to a few people you trust and your lawyer, with instructions to give to him when he is older. Comment 2. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I will only say that your wife does not get to tell you how you should feel or act in this situation. I would not lose a moment of sleep over what she thinks you should do. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a chaotic couple of weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. I've seen some of you asking for an update, so here it is. After I found out about Kat's affair and that Lee wasn't biologically mine, things just spiraled. I had already started the divorce process and was trying to remove my name from Lee's birth certificate. That's where things got even more complicated. Kat's been trying to pull at my heartstrings, using every memory and moment we shared to make me reconsider. She's been bringing up how we met in college, our late-night study sessions that turned into early morning talks, and how we used to dream of traveling the world together. But every time she brings up the past, it's like a punch in the gut, reminding me of what we lost. My mother-in-law, who's always been like a second mom to me, has been caught in the middle of all this. She's been trying to mediate, reminding me of how Kat supported me when I was struggling with my dad's illness. But she also respects my decision and understands why I can't look past the betrayal. The biggest shock came when I found out that Kat had been in contact with the affair partner, despite her claims of cutting ties years ago. I stumbled upon some old messages when I was packing up some of her things. It turns out this wasn't just a one-time thing. They had been seeing each other for almost a year before she ended it. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I confronted Kat about it, and she broke down, admitting that she was scared of losing the life we built together. She said she ended the affair when she realized she was pregnant, hoping to bury her mistake and move on with our family. But lies have a way of surfacing, and now here we are. In the midst of all this, I've been trying to figure out what's best for Lee. He's innocent in all of this, and I've been wrestling with the idea of how to be there for him without letting the pain of betrayal consume me. I've been spending time with him, taking him to his favorite park, and trying to maintain some normalcy for his sake. Kat's been relentless, though. She's been telling Lee that I'm going to come back, that we're just having a grown-up timeout. It's confusing him, and I hate seeing him hurt. I had to sit him down and explain that sometimes grown-ups need to live apart, but that I'll always be there for him. The legal side of things has been a mess. My lawyer's been great, navigating the complexities of the prenup and the divorce, but Kat's been fighting me on every front, trying to secure as much as she can. It's like she's a different person from the woman I married. Now here's where justice comes in, subtly but surely. Kat's affair partner, let's call him Mark, had no idea about Lee. Kat never told him, and he's been living his life oblivious to the fact that he has a son. But with the divorce proceedings and the battle over Lee's custody, things got out. Mark was served with papers for a paternity test. Mark was shocked, to say the least. He came to see me, of all people, to talk. He was apologetic, saying he had no idea Kat was married when they were together. He looked at pictures of Lee and couldn't deny the resemblance. He agreed to the paternity test without a fight. The results came back, and as expected, Mark is Lee's biological father. He's been surprisingly decent about the whole thing. He wants to be involved in Lee's life, to take responsibility. He's been talking to Kat about setting up visitation and figuring out how to co-parent. Kat's been backed into a corner. She wanted to keep her affair and its consequences buried, but now she has to face them. Mark's involvement means she can't paint me as the bad guy who abandoned his family. She's been forced to explain to Lee that he has another dad who wants to be part of his life. As for me, I'm moving forward. The divorce is still underway, and I'm coming to terms with the fact that my relationship with Lee will change. But I'm setting up that trust fund for him, making sure he'll be taken care of no matter what. I've been seeing a counselor, working through the betrayal and the loss. It's not easy, but I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. I'm focusing on myself, on healing and finding a way to forgive, not for Kat's sake, but for my own peace of mind. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.